Good, go.
Hey everyone. My name is Jatin. I am senior director of data science at eBay. My teams look at payments, risk, and trust data science at eBay. And what I'm doing today is take you through how do we leverage some machine learning with customer creation in e-commerce transactions. In e-commerce transactions, and it's a lot of effort that we put together to build a more 360 view for our customers. And I'll tell you some of the techniques that we used, some of the outputs that we got, and after the session, if you have experience in doing this, happy to discuss it. So here's the agenda for today. I'll take 15-20 minutes. I'll talk a little bit more about customer friction. What do I mean about customer? When I say customer friction, what is a bad buyer experience, bad seller experience? I'll talk about why should we invest in comprehensive detection of these customer friction. I'll talk a little bit more about all the listening posts and data that we can collect, everything that we can use to build this 360 view for our customers. And each of these listening posts come with their own different technique on how do you munch the data, how do you get insights from it, and I'll talk about how we synthesize this data and get those insights. And none of it is useful if you don't end up actioning for it. So we'll talk a little bit about how we've actioned on some of the insights that we've gotten from our customers when they've had bad experiences. What could we do as a retail company, as an e-commerce company, as a marketplace on improving their experiences. So let me start with an overview of, I'll talk a bit about user friction and what is user friction. Here's an example of user friction post-transaction. Now, eBay is a marketplace. It's a two-sided marketplace. We have buyers on the platform, we have sellers on the platform, but this is more generalized for any retail three-sided, four-sided marketplace. Some of the examples are maybe the buyer bought an item, they didn't draw a label, or it did not get their item. Or the item was different from what they ordered. They ordered red, they ordered green item. The item that they ordered was broken, it was not working, really bad experience after they bought it. Things like item that was different than the description. They bought a wheel that was supposed to fit in 2017 Camry. They got the item, didn't fit. Really bad experience. Refunds, I filed for it, I did not accept a refund. Unprofessional communications between buyer and sellers, abusive languages, orders that were cancelled by sellers after the buyer bought them are all really bad buyer experiences. And this all happens after you've paid the money, you've bought the item, and this is how it after it. Really bad experiences that we try to detect, avoid, predict, address. In a two-sided marketplace, for someone like eBay, we also look at all the experiences, bad experiences for our sellers. Things like chargebacks. A buyer filed a chargeback for things that they did not agree with, and they have recourse. I was a nice seller, I offered refunds, the buyer sent me an item that was broken. I sold them a nice iPhone, I gave them they said, take it back, I took it back, I gave them the money, that was not working. The returns item was faulty, really bad experience for the seller. And so on and so forth. These are some of the examples of all the friction that we try to detect and in a transaction, and we try to address it. So let's talk a little bit more about why we invest in comprehensive understanding of these friction. What do we get out of it? And as any retail company or marketplace, the thing that we try to understand from our customers is how did your transaction go? You listen to your customers, you address their needs. And you want a comprehensive view. Most of the times we get views from our local customers, which is great. They'll call customer support, they'll tell you about their experiences, but that's just not enough. A lot of insight sits in the silent softwares. These are people who bought from your platform, they had a bad experience, they never said anything else, but they are going to tell their friends, they're going to tell their families, and you lost them as a customer forever. And that's very important. You want to go and find them and address those issues. reason why we should invest in comprehensive understanding of it is to quantify and understand the ROI of investing in some of these things. You've all been in situations where we have a great idea, you want engineering resources, you want design resources to work on them, but the question is, what do you get out of it? There's always that question of return on investments. And leveraging some of these models to quantify the fact that, hey, if somebody who received an item late versus somebody who did not, here's how the retention curves look like. Here's the causality of the impact of some of these actions on our customers. Really helps you make a strong business case, provide an ROI, and actually think about what else could we do. Maybe there are coupons that we don't give. Maybe there are marketing outreach, all of them are associated with costs. And figuring out returns through some of these models really helps you build out that P&L business case for your investments. And number three, the holistic understanding really helps drive the companies behind the message. An example of it, let's say out of the 100 transactions that happen on the platform, 70 of them have an experience that don't want a bad experience by buyers. That KPI, built using multiple data sets, can be a really powerful motivator for teams to actually drive down. That could be about the weekly, monthly cadences. The goals can be broken down by different teams, and it's a very powerful motivator for teams to say 7 transactions of 100, let's bring it down to 2 by the end of the year. Things like that are really enabled through our comprehensive understanding of these frictions, and I'll talk about how we can build next. So there are a lot of explicit and implicit customer signals that we get, and they can come from multiple sources, and they can be serving multiple data sets, they can be serving different platforms, but they all can be synthesized using different technologies, different methodologies, and build a 360 understanding of the customers. And the key is to tie them together. I'll continue to say that throughout the presentation is the value that we've seen is to tie all these together to build a kind of comprehensive understanding of our customers. I'll go into each of them, but I'll broadly bucket them into 2 buckets. Explicitly reported friction and implicit or inferred friction. The explicitly reported friction is what we get from very explicit flows. Customer complaints, people call our customer support. We have site flows where you can kind of raise refund requests. You can say to us that, hey, I need my money back. You can file things against your sellers. Very structured flows. That's the number one. So something that most companies have. The other explicitly reported friction that we get from our customers are feedbacks. A lot of marketplaces and companies ask for explicit feedback on transactions, and that's all about hey, we bought this item, what was your experience? We get that too. And there are a bunch of analytic techniques which we can use, and I'll talk about it a bit more to get into. But that's awesome, and those are explicitly reported friction, easy. The more interesting ones start with more implicit frictions, the ones that are inferred from your customer behavior, and those are things around was the user going into flows that are known to cause user friction, where they go into help pages, they spend too much time in certain pages and certain flows that we know they probably have a bad experience, but they never do respond. I'll talk in a bit more detail about that as well. And customer surveys, and that's where we've seen a lot of incremental insights come from, is after all said and done, a few weeks after, we send out customer surveys to say, hey, if you bought this item, engage with us, how was the experience? Very lightweight to say thumbs up and thumbs down. And we've seen a lot of incremental silence offers from those surveys to say, you did not give us anything throughout all of our listing posts, but you did tell us that you had a bad experience, and we want to learn more. And we'll talk about how we use some of the statistical stratifications to understand and tie back to our CRM platforms. So I'll talk about the customer complaints first, because this is more structured data. It's like data from certain flows, customer flows, skews towards for us it skews towards experienced customers. Not surprising, these are your customers that are going to have that know how to contact you, they have the patience to talk to you, and we leverage a lot of this data, train models, and to identify some of the severity of the events. So some of the more classic machine learning models can help us quantify the impact of some of these customer complaints on retention levels, for example. If you file for a refund, if you return an item versus a customer who did not return an item, how do the retention levels look like? What is the CLV impact 12 months on, 2 years on? And those are kind of very classic ML models, and we've been trying to look at them in a more holistic way, because while we get all these signals, that's awesome, we build models on top of it, but they're not comprehensive. That's a challenge. They skew towards more of the experienced customers. They miss out on all the silent sufferers and all the other signals that we get, and a lot of times the impact that we calculate for these friction events is understated. That's the intent of including everything else into it to build a comprehensive. The second thing that we try to tie together is transaction feedback. We ask our customers, you bought this item, we have our textual data tied to it, you can see reviews that you see on different online platforms. This also skews towards our vocal with customers, but there are a bunch of NLP techniques that we can use, like topic modeling, to say, look, people complain about buying this item, they have really bad experiences, they talk about the seller, they are not sending things on time, and we keep saying, topic modeling is easy, actual topic modeling is hard, and that's where Robert has showed here, that strong infusion of business acumen is very critical to tie everything back together and to say that, yes, we see there are 100 transactions, 3 of them have bad experience, but here are the 2 incremental ones that we can detect using some of the feedback that we're receiving from these items. A lot of these are solicited through emails, notifications, sometimes they're organic, and as you would expect, there are biases. We leverage a lot of these stratification methods to figure out, do we need to upsample a certain population, do we need to downsample a certain population, and account for some of the biases that we might get because of the ways that we solicited these feedbacks. That's more about the explicit feedback. Now, so the interesting part comes in when we look at some of the implicit feedback that buyers give us. And we leverage a lot of these site flows to figure out what are some of the paths that user take that eventually lead to a bad experience. And these are things that there are simple things, like maybe they were buying something and they ended up in help pages, or they ended up searching forums, and that's a good example and imply friction for some people, for some of our customers. But it can be very, very detailed, like insights around people who are searching for something, they bought an item that was way cheaper than the trending price, they did not apply search filters, which usually means that they missed the fine print of the item, and that user flow implies a high chance of getting a friction eventually. So a lot of work on user flows goes into looking at the massive data sets that we have on buyer experience and user flows, and synthesizing them, building out smart features that actually make sense, a lot of feature engineering, a lot of data prep, and then leveraging some models like deep learning models. SGMs is something that we leverage a lot on trying to figure out how can we infer some of these frictions after transaction. We've built a bunch of prediction models on top of this as well, as you'd expect. This look for a lot of user flows, kind of items, kind of sellers that you're buying from, the overall experiences that you've had, some of the conversations that you've had, and engagement that you've had with the site, and try to predict, would you have had a bad experience or not? And we have, of course, positives and negatives.
Please wrap up.
And that's kind of what we leverage this for. And that's the last one on customer surveys, that we look at a lot of these customer surveys, we stratify some of the data that we get from our customers, and we upsample and downsample some of these account for biases. And the key to all this is time data. To say that if you were only to look at number one customer complaints, 3 out of 100 transactions have friction, but you combine all this together, you get 8 out of 10 transactions that have friction, and that's a big problem that we need to fix. The scale of problem changes, the overall impact of it changes, and that helps us create a strong case for, we have all this now. What can we do about it? Yes, 8 of your transactions now have friction. What do we do? There are 3 things that we're trying to do. Just rally the organizations to fix it. We understand the otherwise, we can make a strong case for it, we can prioritize, we can line up our policies, we kind of now know how much investment do we need to make because we kind of know what returns are we going to get out of it. That's more about prevention. The second one is about addressing. Sure, friction happened. Yeah, if somebody had a bad experience buying or selling, maybe they told us, maybe they did. Silent sufferers, people who don't reach out to us, usually steer towards new and experienced customers, and they absolutely clear it. We spend a ton of money acquiring customers, and a leaky funnel is really bad at overall P&L, and we try to especially look at for these silent sufferers and new customers. And the last thing that I'll talk about is combining all of this in a single data platform is the key. Having all of these separated out in different platforms can be connected differently, that's okay. But putting it all together into a single CRM platform, tying it with your other marketing campaigns, other outreach efforts, really that's when the consistency and the efficiency of the efforts start to really shine. And that's where we actually started to see a lot of benefit. We test them, they're working, we test that with our platform, and they're all tied to some of these efforts on if you have friction, what can we do to improve it? And we measure ROI through multiple platform. And these are some of the ways that we try to put everything together. That's where I was. That's my time. I'd love to understand if you folks have been trying putting all these customer data into one piece. I'll be outside doing lunch and have a chat.